So let that sink in for a moment. When going from 1 terabyte to 4 terabyte with Apple storage, you are paying $333.33 for 1 terabyte. However, as far as this Western Digital storage is concerned, we are only paying $69.75 per terabyte, and that is actually a difference of 4.77 times the amount of money to go to Apple storage, which as far as I'm concerned is absolute insanity. Alright, David Harry here, and in this video I'm going to be showing you the absolutely insane pricing that Apple charge you when you upgrade one of their Apple Silicon computers from its base storage configuration. And what I'm going to do is to compare that to a really good standard NVMe SSD. In this instance, it is going to be my favorite SSD for my external storage, which is the Western Digital SN850X. So let me just dive straight into showing you all these numbers, and then I will come back at the end and further discuss the insane pricing of Apple storage. Okay, so I am onto the Apple website. Now, although I am European, I will be using the United States dollar for this example right now. And the reason why is because most of my subscribers and most of my views come from North America and the United States. So it just makes sense to use the US dollar for this part here. However, I will quickly switch over onto the German Apple store and also the German Amazon store, just to give you an idea of how this all pans out with the euro. Anyway, so what I'm going to do here is to use the same configuration that I actually use myself for my MacBook Pro. So that is the M4 Max 16-inch variation. So as we can see, this already starts off at like, $4,000 anyway. But even just to add just 1 extra terabyte of storage, it costs $400. Because don't forget, we're going from 1 terabyte to 2 terabyte. So we're only gaining 1 extra terabyte there. And that 1 terabyte costs $400. Now, if we go from 1 terabyte to 4 terabytes, which again is only a gain of 3 terabytes, that costs $1,000. Now, on a per terabyte basis, that comes out at $333.33. So, of course, it does get a bit cheaper once you go up to the 4 terabyte mark, but you're still paying $333 just for 1 terabyte. Now, if we jump up to the 8 terabyte option here, which I've got to say is the best value for money variation as far as the cost per terabyte is concerned, it actually costs us $2,200. And don't forget, that's going from 1 terabyte to 8, which is only giving us 7 terabytes. Now, for 7 terabytes at $2,200, that is a cost of $314.28 per terabyte. But nonetheless, if we just use the 4 terabyte figure here, because I'm going to be comparing to a 4 terabyte SSD, that is $333.33 for 1 terabyte. Now, if I just flip over here onto Amazon.com, so Amazon for North America and the United States, what I'm going to do here is just show you something really quickly as far as the storage is concerned that I would typically use within my setups, which is going to be the Western Digital SN850X, and that is going to be the 4 terabyte variant. As we can see here, this costs $279 for 4 whole terabytes. Now, on a cost per terabyte, that works out at $69.75. So let that sink in for a moment. When going from 1 terabyte to 4 terabyte with Apple storage, you are paying $333.33 for 1 terabyte. However, as far as this Western Digital storage is concerned, we are only paying $69.75 per terabyte, and that is actually a difference of 4.77 times the amount of money to go to Apple storage. Now, if you think that's bad, wait until we see what happens in Europe. So I'm on the German Apple website here. So this is going to be for our brothers and sisters over on mainland Europe, because in the UK we pay using sterling. However, for the best part of mainland Europe, it is going to be the euro. And once again, I'm going to use the exact same example of the MacBook that I've got myself. But to start off with, look at this, 4,199 euro for the exact same computer. Now, let me just come up and start showing you how much the storage cost here. So going from 1 terabyte to 2 terabyte, which is only a gain of 1 terabyte, it is 500 euro. Now, if you want to go away and just do some quick calculations with the exchange rate, you're going to see that that is absolute insanity for the amount of money it costs in euro. But let's just go for like numbers here as to the differences. So once again, for 1 terabyte, that is 500 euro. Okay, now if we come down to the 4 terabyte option, which once again only gives you an extra 3 terabytes from the 1 terabyte that you already had, that works out at 1,250 euro. Now, as far as the cost per terabyte is concerned for that, that is 416 euro as far as 1 terabyte is concerned. However, Apple do offer us this super value of going up to the 8 terabyte, where the cost per terabyte actually comes down to an even lower number. Now, don't forget, we are going from 1 terabyte to 8, which is only 7 extra terabytes. So at 2,750 euro for 7 terabytes, that actually costs 392 euros and 85 cents for just 1 terabyte of storage. So you're either paying 500 euro for 1 terabyte here, or you're paying 416 euro per terabyte when you go for the 4 terabyte option. But to get your best value, you're going to have to start spending just shy of 3,000 euro in order to be able to get your cost per terabyte down to 392 euro and 85 cents. Now, if I switch over now to Amazon in Germany, look at this. So the exact same Western Digital SSD is only 280 euro. Now, at 280 euro, that is a cost of 70 euro per terabyte. So just let that sink in as well. So 70 euro per terabyte compared to 500 euro for 1 terabyte if you upgraded to the 2 terabyte Apple storage option. And then if you went for the 4 terabyte Apple storage option, you're still paying 416 euro for 1 terabyte versus 70 euro for 1 terabyte. And then if we go right up to the 8 terabyte option, that is 392 euro and 85 cents compared to 70 euro. But just quickly, let's go back to the 4 terabyte variant of the Apple storage. So that ends up costing us 416 euro versus the 70 euro for the Western Digital. That works out that the Apple storage costs 5.9 times the cost per terabyte when going like for 4 terabyte to 4 terabyte, which as far as I'm concerned is absolute insanity. Now, just to preempt the inevitable Apple fanboys that I will get within the comments section giving me blah 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 along the lines of, but David, you didn't even include the cost of your enclosure in those prices, so that's just not fair now, is it? Well, two things with that. Even when you add the cost of the enclosure, the whole thing is still way cheaper on a cost per terabyte basis, full stop anyways. However, it would be unfair to include the enclosure, because when you purchase any of these updates to the internal Apple storage, you don't get any extra hardware thrown in with that either, and you don't even get controller chips. Literally all you get is just a difference in the NAND chips. So basically my comparison to a bare NVMe SSD is completely fair. Now, for anybody interested in the speed differences between external storage and the internal Apple storage, I've already done a number of videos about these things, and there will be a link to a playlist in the video description below taking you to a whole bunch of videos where you can see all of those differences. However, what I'm going to do now is to give you some examples of the cost of external storage when it is inside an enclosure, and for that I'm going to be using examples by ACASIS ACASIS for their enclosures. Now, before any of the fanboys jump into the comments and start giving me all kinds of like blah 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 about the fact that I'm an ACASIS fanboy, well, the simple answer to that one is yes, I'm an ACASIS fanboy, and the reason why is because all their products that I've used so far are all great products. But do bear in mind that when I have an issue with some of their products, which I have in the past, I will actually say I've got an issue with it. I just don't blindly follow one manufacturer and think that everything they do is absolutely amazing, unlike some of those Apple fanboys out there who just can't hear a bad word said about anything to do with Apple. So if we first have a look at the TB501 80 gigabits per second enclosure, if you apply the 20% discount code of TB20 to it, it brings its price down to $215.20. Now, if you add $279 to that for the Western Digital 4TB SN850X, we get a grand total of $494.20, which, as we can clearly see there, is absolutely fantastic value for money compared to any of the configurations for Apple's internal storage. Now, if we want to level up a little bit as far as the enclosure is concerned, we can go for the more recent TB501 Pro, and once again, if we add the 20% discount code TB20, that ends up coming in at $231.20, and then add the $279 to it for the 4TB SSD, and we have a grand total there of $510.20. Once again, way better value for money than anything that Apple are offering on a per terabyte basis. However, if you don't get all bent out of shape about speed, then maybe Thunderbolt 4 could be good enough for you, in which case if you go for the TBU405 Pro M1, which is a 40 gigabits per second Thunderbolt 4 enclosure, then apply my code of David15 for the discount and get a 15% discount off it, that ends up coming in at $87.46. Now, if you add the $279 to that for the 4TB SSD, that actually only comes in at $366.46, which is actually even cheaper than just upgrading to one whole terabyte internally for the Apple storage. Now, for anybody who may be thinking about going to the Mac Studio and they want to max that out to 16 terabytes of storage, you're going to have to pay $4,600 for 16 terabytes of storage internally. However, there is also an option with ACASIS for you to actually build yourself something with 16 terabytes of storage in it, and that is going to be ACASIS's new Thunderbolt 4 RAID enclosure. Now, of course, this is only Thunderbolt 4 and nowhere near as fast as the internal 16 terabyte storage of Apple storage inside the new studios. However, if you want to go for value for money and you're not so bent out of shape about speed once again, then that enclosure is going to cost you $254.15 using my discount code of David15. Then if we add to that $1,116, which is 4 times $279 for the Western Digital storage, we then get a grand total of $1,370.15. So that's basically $1,400 compared to $4,600 for a RAID system, which is ultimately a lot more controllable, and you can actually share that amongst different Macs as well. And just on that point of something being shareable, if you use any type of enclosure, ACASIS or not, USB-C, USB 4, Thunderbolt 4, Thunderbolt 5, it doesn't matter what the enclosure is, as long as like the speed of it is suitable for your particular use. But what you do get with an external SSD is the ability to use it on different Macs as well. So you can pay a ton of money for all that storage inside one Mac, but if you've got more than one Mac, that storage is only in one of the Macs. You can't use it on another Mac. However, your external storage can be used on various Macs. Anyways, I think I have now covered everything that I needed to have talked about in this video. Now, if you are still somebody out there thinking to yourself, oh, well, I still think that Apple storage is great value for money, I genuinely would love to know why you think that in the comments section below. However, for anybody else out there who's kind of questioning Apple storage, you know, let me know what you think about going external with your storage and saving tons of money. There will be product links for everything used in this video in the description below, and there will also be some discount codes for various things as well. If you found this video useful, insightful, or even entertaining in any way, please do give it a thumbs up and a sub to my channel would be absolutely amazing. I'm David Harry. Thank you very much for watching this video. Take care and... Oh,